I don't believe in most UFO sightings because of how easy it is to fake them. But I think there's a few sightings that could be real. So I'm gonna go to where these UFOs crashed.
You film here? Do you have ID cards?
Go over all the pictures, videos, witnesses.
It was not anything from this earth.
And figure out if any of these 3 sightings could prove that aliens are real. And I'm first traveling to arguably the most famous UFO sighting of all time, Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell, New Mexico.
In Roswell, this case is like the seminal event. It started everything.
But the whole Roswell incident actually happens an hour and a half outside of the town, where a farmer finds something weird on his property. The guy that was finding this original debris, bringing it to the government, bringing it to the news, he lived a little bit north of here. The crash is about a mile that way. It looks like we're close. Okay, so there used to be like some marker here saying this is where it happened. I don't know, I guess someone stole it? I don't know, who steals a big ass rock? And this large crater is where farmer Mac Brazel finds a bunch of weird objects. He officially says it looks like tinfoil, paper, and broken sticks, but he later changes that. He doesn't say there was like a giant piece of it or something. It's just a bunch of little stuff. That would be pretty bad if we found like some alien material here. Like they would have, well, because like that just means they didn't do their job well. Well, I will say something had to make these rocks crack like this, you know?
Erosion.
So the weirdest thing that caught them off guard was like the tinfoil, because they try to scratch it. They're not able to scratch it, and they try to burn it, and it doesn't burn. Some people claim to crumple it up, and then it returns to its normal form. Mac doesn't really think anything of this material, but later, after seeing a bunch of UFO reports, he then reports it to the sheriff. The man that brings the debris into examination is Major Jesse Marcel. He first officially describes it as just broken wooden beams and tinfoil, but a lot of people are asking if that's really what it was, so much so that the government has to do a press release. And this is what they say. July 8th, 1947 is when some crazy heat drops. Walter Holt, this guy's the public information officer. They don't deny Mac's claims. They don't make up something else. No, they do this press release and they say, yep, it was a flying disc.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
Not even 24 hours later, they retract that. And they're like, nah, it's a balloon. What's crazy is when they do retract this, they actually publicly show the pieces that they found at the farm, and they show that it was just a balloon. So they get a ton of heat for the retraction, obviously, because that's just a really weird thing to do. Like, why wouldn't they just say it's a weather balloon in the first place? But then it kind of does make sense, because they do another press release, and they're basically like, okay guys, you got us. They were actually trying to protect a secret project.
Project Mogul Balloon was supposed to be a spy balloon. The idea was we get these huge Mogul balloons and launch them, and then the wind would take them over the Soviet Union, and we would look and see if there was any atomic blast or anything like that. That's what it was supposed to detect. And these things, however, sometimes crashed. They picked the stuff up and took it back.
This actually makes a lot of sense. The government would want to keep a secret government project secret. In fact, there were even a lot of military personnel that picked up the balloon parts that had no idea what it was. By the way, while I'm going over each of these UFO sightings that get more and more insane, I have a group of UFO experts that know way more than I do, helping me debunk or prove every single fact. And one of them mentions a key detail about the balloon that still doesn't add up.
One specific point, just with my own government background, you know, whether you think you're dealing with an ordinary weather balloon or a sort of spy balloon, Project Mogul, I mean, a balloon is a balloon and terrestrial equipment is terrestrial equipment. The Roswell Army airfield at the time was the best of the best, so if ever there was anyone least likely to misidentify a spy balloon or a weather balloon for a so-called flying disc, it was probably these people.
It just feels weird to admit that it's a flying disc if you're not even really sure what it is and you're the government. But where it gets even weirder is when a lot of people start speaking out. And I'm gonna start with Major Jesse Marcel. He was the man that collected this debris, and he just described it as the same thing: tinfoil and wooden beams. But this is what he says years later.
It was nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, which we both knew differently.
It was 100% not a weather balloon. It was something extraterrestrial.
It was not anything from this earth that I'm quite sure of.
And what's even more terrifying is he then claims that the authorities made him keep his mouth shut.
So all I could do is keep my mouth shut.
Don't talk about that. But Marcel's not the only one. There's a lot of other witnesses that speak out, and they speak out a lot about an apparent second crash site. But Where were they all seeing this? Right now we're at the Roswell airport, and it all happens specifically at this one hangar. It's called Hangar 84. There is quite a lot of hangars though. Okay, we might have to drive around because I don't see this anywhere. If the police pull up on us, I'm gonna question them.
There you go.
Joke's on them. I believe it's actually this one, not that one. Oh, look at that too. Two pigeons on top. That's not suspicious. Bro, those are definitely spy pigeons, bro. They're both looking at us. Bro, you think that they might still have the alien in here? Dude, should we open the door? Should we do it, dude?
That's all you.
Show us where the aliens are. Where's the alien?
He's probably shaking in his boots. So there's a few people that claim to see things here, but first, what did they see? A few people claimed to see alien bodies and crashed UFOs. There were a bunch of witnesses. The main one was Lieutenant Walter Hott. He specifically claimed to see a 12 to 15 foot long UFO, literally right in there. A lot of people were saying they saw them in transportation to this hangar. It was like multiple cars, apparently. It was super, super guarded. People believe these bodies and this crashed UFO were getting transported all the way to Washington to an Air Force base there to, I guess, be examined more. Another lieutenant, Robert Shirky, described reporting seeing some of the debris with hieroglyphic-like markings. He also claimed that there were alien bodies in this hangar. This is like Barney Barnett and Pappy Henderson. These names low-key don't sound real. They also claimed that there was a second crash site and they saw alien bodies there. The guy that originally found all the crash debris on the farm, Mac, he at first was like, yeah, it just looks like a weather balloon. But then later he starts saying that he did see alien bodies there at the crash site. Like, I guess you could argue, yeah, maybe people were trying to hush him up. But who was hushing them up? So there is actual mention from something like the Men in Black, a government organization trying to keep people quiet. The one problem is the only actual evidence we have of them is from witnesses, which, can we trust witnesses?
You know, I've had personal conversations with one witness that said, you know, Ryan, I just want you to know that it's real. And, you know, goosebumps up the arm from the witness, you know, tears in the eyes.
We shouldn't forget that even in the modern era, you know, each and every day in courts, juries listen to people giving their testimony and then have to weigh that and make literally life or death decisions. So eyewitness testimony, it is still evidence and it's still crucial.
So it's hard to say whether the Men in Black second crash or even the alien bodies seen is true, but the government then steps in to say something about the alien bodies. The alien body conspiracy built up so much that they had to give a press release, and this is what the government says. We were doing high altitude balloon testing and we were using dummies. I don't know, I guess throwing dummies off of a balloon to see how high they could survive from, what damage they got.
Love you, boys.
That makes me almost believe the alien bodies more, because that just makes no sense to me. Who approved this, bro? Who approved this budget, bro? This is where our tax dollars are going, bro. But that's basically the general summary of this case. All right, let's break this down. Based on what we covered, the balloon honestly seems really suspicious. Even with the explanation of Project Mogul, it seems really weird that the government would do so many cover-ups and ship it off really quickly and discreetly. Something just doesn't make sense, but there's no hard evidence to prove that it's anything weird. So we move on to the witnesses. They can be trustworthy, but once again, aren't 100% proof. And to make it even worse, there was a man who worked at a morgue who claimed to see alien bodies and make caskets for them, and he later came out and said he was faking it all. So that just makes the rest of the witnesses look a lot worse. Not saying they're liars, they could have actually saw something. Also, to keep in mind, this entire case happens about a week or two after the Kenneth Arnold UFO sighting. If you guys don't know, this is basically the first UFO sighting ever. Before this, UFO sightings didn't really exist. This created the idea of UFO sightings. So it doesn't seem good, but there's still one more piece of information that honestly could change this whole case.
The Majestic documents, which in essence is some 3,500 pages of documents leaked over 18 years. Central to many of the documents is this Roswell case. In this leaked document, which, you know, you can take as face value, it says on, you know, July 2nd, 2232 Mountain Standard Time, you know, 2 craft dropped off radar and crashed. And it goes on to talk about the details of bodies recovered, animal parts inside the craft.
They claim crazy things like aliens did in fact crash in Roswell. They captured the craft as well as the bodies. They conducted autopsies on the bodies and just a ton of other interactions with aliens or non-humans. But the FBI said it's bogus. which, I mean, they would regardless. So overall, this does have some insane claims, and I don't think you can debunk all of them. I don't think you can say all of these are fake, but in my personal opinion, it does look much more like just a top secret government project, especially when you look at things like one of the witnesses admitting they lied and they were faking it. The government even said it was a top secret project, but this next case, the government had no idea what it was. But guys, super quick, this is my most expensive video. I've literally spent like 2 months making this, and all I ask for is if you could please subscribe. It would help me more than you can imagine. My friend actually has something to say real quick.
If you don't subscribe, I swear on my life, I will blow up your whole planet right now. Nothing stopping me, mother. I'll do it right.
So now on to the most terrifying UFO sighting ever.
He said, it's back. I said, what's back? He said, the UFO.
This sighting happens all around the RAF Woodbridge military base. People believe the UFOs came here because allegedly they had nuclear weapons here. And we're walking to the front gate where they first made contact with these UFOs. We're in the UK, bro. We gotta watch out for getting shanked and getting probed by aliens. Dude, these aliens probably were so disappointed, dude. They probably came to Earth, and then the aliens come here and they see beans and toast. On December 26, 1980, at this gate is when the British Air Force saw lights in the sky. What would a British person say? They wouldn't say what the hell. They'd be like, good golly, look at that light over there in the forest. Oh my, it's flying around. Holy beans and toast. Crackerjack. Exactly what they actually did describe. Glowing objects descending into the trees. So at first they just believed that it was probably a downed aircraft, some aircraft that crashed. So two Air Force personnel went to investigate it. John Burroughs and Jim Pedeston. They headed about a mile this direction to where they saw the UFO. We gotta get in the minds of the two people that went to investigate this. We're almost at where they saw the UFO. You can be John Burroughs and I'll be Jim Pedeston.
Yo, Jim, did you see that?
Yeah, we've been walking like a mile.
Yeah.
To it.
We have been walking out to it.
I wonder what it was.
Yeah, I think it was a giant donut.
I think it was a giant Dorito chip.
Yeah, I can see that. You hungry?
I'm fucking starving, dude.
Let's go eat this motherfucker.
Something's glowing over here. We gotta touch it. Oh, shoot.
Oh, damn.
Okay, so Jim, he specifically mentioned blue and red lights at the bottom. The craft was completely silent and still. When he touched it, he said static ran through his body and it felt warm. In the 1990s, which was over 10 years later, and the 2010s, he started saying more stuff. Okay, so he described seeing glowing markers or symbols, and that's what's over here. So like, here's the symbols we have. This is some crazy stuff. He revealed in a book, after touching the craft, he received a telepathic download of binary code. And then he decoded it later, supposedly, and it revealed the coordinates to mysterious global sites like the Great Pyramids, Nazca lines, and more. A bunch of stuff that people have conspiracies about that is like built by aliens or made by aliens, which is a little bit convenient. Where do you think they got in, bro? You think they just wrote it like this?
Yeah, they wrote that bit like a horse.
Yeah. Jim seeing these symbols and seeing binary code, I don't personally believe at all. I think he was just making up stuff to sell this book. There's no real evidence or credibility to it. But Jim and John definitely saw something. So they report it to their higher-ups, and the next night is when it gets a lot more real.
You letting the aliens probe your booty?
If they're like polite about it.
They buy you a drink and everything?
Yeah, buy me like a drink, take me on a nice dinner, maybe to like a different planet. So we walked a good bit further, and this is where things get more interesting. So the second day, nothing really happened. People were like, what the hell happened last night type shit. Last night was crazy. Last night was a movie. I'm sure they were saying that. The deputy base commander, he hears about this situation. He sends a full investigation into this. He leads a team into the woods with a Geiger counter. This is just a device that tests for radiation, but he also brings a tape recorder to record their entire interaction, which we'll listen to in just a minute. But they see flashing lights, beams of lights coming down, and then once they get to the landing up here, they find something kind of crazy. Oh, I think it's on the other side of this fence, maybe, that's why. And this is probably the military base too, so this is one area I don't really want to trespass. This is the recording from Lieutenant Colonel Halt. I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead to when they actually started seeing the glowing lights and stuff. Minor radiation readings they're getting.
This is after the number one indentation where we first got the strongest reading.
So yeah, they're talking about like the shape of it in the ground that it left.
7 tenths right here in the center. We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. We're getting very positive readings. You know, and let's identify that as point number 1.
Dude, this is like giving me goosebumps a little. This is crazy. Like, these are trained military officials, and they're like legitimately are getting more nervous. Like, you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah, in the beginning they were all calm, and now they're just like, whoa.
Like,
shine the light on again, Bob. When you got trouble here, yeah, get right on the spot, and then when you want them, okay, turn the light on.
Rush stressing. He said, turn the light on.
You're right. There's a white streak on the tree.
dude, it's like a horror movie.
Hey, this is eerie. This is strange. Here, somebody want to look at the spots in the ground? The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now.
The whole night they were like hearing animals, and then they all got quiet. This is when I think they see it.
This is we're falling off it again.
It just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Off to the right.
Strange.
They're going up to it.
Looking at the thing, we're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's you know, like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking.
It almost looked like this. Which, by the way, is my merch, guys. I've been wearing it throughout all these videos. I have this one, which is kind of the series logo. Then I have this one, which is my personal favorite. It's literally an alien in a free candy van. I even have official Groovy Society merch. But if you buy any of it, post it on your story, tag me, I'll repost you. But what else did these officers see?
The flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye.
So this is the point where it was like started flying over the forest, and a lot of people started claiming to see it, like outside of the military.
Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape.
Like, this is one of the craziest UFO cases. A lot of the things people debunk this with, there is a lighthouse kind of nearby that the light beam would shine over here. That's what people say is like, oh, well, they were just seeing the lighthouse.
It was the lighthouse that was seen, because of a flashing period. He made a recording of, you know, saying, I see the light.
For this specific point, I'm gonna actually have to go against the skeptic side, because even in the original reports, they're like, oh, we saw the lighthouse lights, but then we also saw these other beams. Then some people were saying Venus, like you can see Venus and it's bright in the sky, or helicopters. But these are military men. Like, I think they would know what these things are, and it wouldn't make them like this scared. So that's really the only things people can debunk on this case. The next details I'm about to go over are actually tracked and logged by government and military officials, so it's a lot harder to debunk them. And one of the experts I've been talking to throughout this video, Nick Pope, he actually specifically worked on this case for the British government. So he has a lot of top secret details that can help us either prove this or completely debunk this case.
My job was to research and investigate the phenomenon, to assess the national security and safety of flight, and I have subsequently met most of the primary witnesses. And this, again, is a very strong case.
The first piece of evidence for this case is that many witnesses claimed they were quieted, which happened in Roswell, but this one literally has a video of the deputy base commander saying this.
I found out later that the airmen were, how shall I say, pretty harshly interrogated.
So it kind of sounds like they were silenced, but what's even crazier about this case is the physical evidence, which starts with the radars.
Both the tower operators at Bentwaters saw an object and picked it up on their Bright 2 radar and watched it.
So from this, we know there was definitely something. And if that isn't crazy enough, remember them talking about the markings on the tree and ground? Well,
they took soil samples, some bark and sap. General Gabriel flew to the bases, the twin bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge, shortly after the incident, and took possession of those items. I don't know where it went. It's probably somewhere in the basement office in the Pentagon.
But the craziest evidence of all is the radiation, which in an official released government document titled
Unidentified Aerial Phenomena in the UK,
it says this.
The readings seemed significantly higher than the average background.
And it gets even worse.
Some of the witnesses have claimed that they are now suffering health issues that they attribute to getting too close to whatever this thing was. The well-reported Rendlesham Forest incident is a case where it is possible that witnesses were exposed to UAP radiation for longer time periods than normal.
This case is mind-blowing. There's really not much to debunk it, and yet there's tons of crazy evidence, like super credible witnesses, scorched trees, and literal radiation readings. That's terrifying. But the most interesting thing, the radiation. I talked to someone off camera, and basically the only way that a aircraft would bring radiation down is if it was at ultra high altitudes, like super, super high. And that still probably wouldn't contaminate the ground, or if it was flying near a nuclear base with nuclear weapons or nuclear power plant, something like that, which this base could be. I don't know, Nick is not even allowed to tell us, but I think it's possible. So that would explain it a little bit, but I would like to think that the officers that were working there would know that, so this radiation stuff wouldn't be that much of a shocker to them. This is way more believable than Roswell. But Roswell was just one, maybe two sightings. This was two sightings by a few people. This next UFO case was hundreds of sightings. The Belgium UFO wave.
We had an observation on the radar. What these pilots detected was well outside the normal flying envelope of an airplane.
Where this whole thing starts is right outside of a little town called Eupen, Belgium. And it seems very legitimate because the first sighting was by two officers. Do the Belgian cops eat donuts or do they eat waffles?
Oh, yeah.
November 29th, 1989. They're driving down this road, having a casual day, and then bam, hovering triangle, silent, glowing lights. And then they stop, they look at it. And this is what started literally hundreds of sightings of people seeing these triangular shaped crafts. This will be my translator and driver for the day. Did you ever hear about the Belgium UFO wave?
I didn't hear it myself. Like an interesting case of unnatural thing flying in the air, like a Dorito chip with
it was just a Dorito marketing campaign, bro. After that first sighting, more and more sightings start happening all over Belgium, which is when the police start looking more into it. We're now in Wavre, Belgium. This is where things get big. The Gons radar station received reports of unusual lights, so they reported that to the police station here, which they then verified. And the police station here, they did in fact see the strange lights in the sky. And later throughout the night, according to police, civilians, and apparently pilots, which is crazy, the lights started moving a lot more crazy. Right now we're in the center of the city. We went to the police station to try to talk to the police and stuff, but you're not allowed to do that here in Belgium. So we had like 6 officers, maybe 7, just roll up on us. How's it going? Do you speak English?
You speak English?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You film here?
Yeah, we're making a video about, I don't know if you've heard of them, the triangle UFOs in Belgium.
Do you have ID cards or passport?
I do, yes.
Okay. Building, that's why it was suspicious in our eyes. Ils sont intéressés par les ovnis. My colleague, which is very old, told me it's true. He says it's true.
Would we be able to interview you for it or no?
Tu veux être interviewé?
No interview.
After nearly going to Belgium prison and being force-fed waffles, we talked to a ton of random people in the town that there were supposed to be a lot of sightings in, but no one really had heard of it except for UFOs.
Yes, I've heard it, yeah.
Did you ever see any?
No, I haven't seen any, but I've heard about it.
But it was a while ago, so that wasn't too crazy. But we at least were able to confirm that the officers did think it was real. So you would think someone would get some sort of physical evidence of them, because unlike the other cases where it was just 1 or 2 sightings, these ones keep happening. Well, somebody did. Where we're at right now is Petit Richan. It's good. This is where the legendary photo that represented the whole Belgium UFO wave came from on April 4th, 1990. So this was kind of like a little bit after all the main sightings happened, which is a little bit weird. So this is the photo.
Ooh, la la.
This is the photo that was taken here. First thoughts? This is 1990, so photos weren't great. Like if I saw this today, I'd be like, oh, that's definitely like Photoshop or AI. But in 1990, I don't know how they would have even.
Wait a minute. Wait, people live up there. Someone just dropped a Dorito, bro.
They didn't have Dorito. Wait.
Did they have a Dorito?
How old are Doritos? Let's do some research.
We solved it.
1966. Oh, it could have been a Dorito.
Could have been a Dorito.
Could have been a Dorito. Here we got like the sky, a little bit of lens flare over there. Is there anything else that looks like this?
You might think the new aircrafts like from the U.S. Army, like the black ones.
Yeah, I forget what they're called.
Kind of looks like a B-2, but yeah.
Bottom. Yeah, but this was the main photo used as like evidence for this happening. But the one problem is this photo actually was a hoax. 21 years later, 2011, a man named Patrick Merschall claimed it was a prank. This guy did it, which is great. Damn, he fooled everybody, bro. He even demonstrated for Belgian media to show how he did it. It was made out of polystyrene and flashlights suspended from a string in his backyard.
So it is a kite.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So because this photo's fake, does it mean the whole sighting is? That was so long ago, it would be incredibly hard for someone to take a photo. Imagine you see something crazy right now. You're probably not gonna whip out your phone immediately. You're probably gonna shit yourself. At least that's what I would do first. And then immediately after, I'd whip out my phone. Regardless of that, so far, what we have as evidence, if you wanna say, is an absurd amount of sightings, basically. A lot of these sightings, though, are from very credible people, but that alone is not that crazy when you think about it, especially compared to the 2 other UFO sightings that we covered. But this entire case gets way more believable. March 30th, 1990.
Belgians had scrambled some jets, but then when the pilots didn't encounter anything, then everything came to a head on March 30th, and ground radar systems were detecting an uncorrelated target, which the radar operators assessed as being a solid structured craft. They scrambled 2 F-16 fighters to try and intercept this object. The pilots then acquired the object on their airborne. Pilots never acquired the object visually, but some people on the ground said that there were sightings. And I had a discussion with General, he was Colonel at the time, Wilfred de Brouwer, and also to the F-16 pilots. The British government has declassified and released to the National Archives many of its UAP files, quite a lot of which I wrote. I made a note for the file in one of these documents, case files, and I said, I spoke to the defense attaché about these Belgian sightings, and the consensus was that this object was capable of moving from a hover, so speed 0, to Mach 7. You know, the corporate view of the Belgian Air Force was this was absolutely solid and real, and the official assessment was, you know, solid structured craft, unknown origin. Obviously, the question then arises, is it some sort of secret prototype aircraft or drone?
I honestly think for this particular case, the believer side is almost a lot stronger than the skeptic side. On the skeptic side, all you can really say is, well, that one photo was fake, all the witnesses were just lying. On the believer side, however, you do have government officials saying, yes, this aircraft was out of our capabilities. That shit hit the meow. Because it's not even like other cases like Roswell, where the government's like, oh no, that was just a balloon. They still, to this day, they don't know what it was. The one officer I was able to talk to, he says it was real.
He says it's true.
I mean, I guess the only thing that would make sense is, yeah, it was some very, very top secret government project that even a lot of government officials wouldn't know about. Roswell has some inconsistencies, like witnesses changing up their story, but Rendlesham and the Belgium UFO wave literally have government officials saying they don't know what this is. They don't know what these are. I definitely don't think you can say aliens are real from either of these cases, and there's one main reason, because anytime we do get evidence or objects or readings, where does it go? It goes straight to the freaking government. So there's really no way to know if it was some top secret government program or something actually crazy like a UFO. And then to go a little bit more into the government, there is declassified things like Project Blue Book, which is when the US Air Force looked into over 12,000 UFO sightings and tried to see what they were. Most of them say balloon or aircraft or unidentified, or even the court hearings when you have people saying crazy stuff like this.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
But it's honestly the same problem. In these documents that they release, so much of it is still classified, still covered up, and then the court hearings, it's basically the same thing we've been covering throughout this whole video. It's just witnesses. Yes, it's crazy, but a witness alone is not enough to prove that aliens exist. I'm not saying at all they are liars. In fact, some of them I probably believe. It just sucks because the abduction stories, I don't think at all can prove aliens because it's one witness. Then we move to this other things, it's just a bigger problem. It's just more witnesses. We never really got actual physical evidence. That's the only thing that could possibly prove that aliens exist, is if we get some physical evidence, or maybe with newer and newer technology, like I mentioned in the last video, with these telescopes, we could possibly find a planet with life. But what do you guys think? Let me know if there's any other alien cases you guys want me to look over. And guys, the next video that comes out on this channel is going to be a collab. It's going to be a big collab that you guys and me have been waiting for for damn near like 2 years at this point. So please subscribe to help me get to 2 million so we can get this collab as soon as possible. Boys, we're in the end game. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching.